Welcome to our class today. We're going to start standing in mountain pose at the top of our mat, closing our eyes and connecting with our breath. We're preparing for a gentle flow class today. We'll be taking nice slow transitions. So honoring our body, maybe placing a hand on our chest, one on our belly, and noticing our breath. If we notice that we have some shallow chest breathing, just urging our breath into our belly through our diaphragm on our inhale, expanding upward through our chest and the crown of our head, and with every exhale, fully releasing the breath. And taking a few moments here just to really connect inward, focusing in on where we want our breath and our journey to take us today, and knowing we can always come back to our breath as an anchor throughout our practice. Taking some time here just to fully align. When we're ready, coming back to our mountain pose, our hands are at our sides, focusing on our intentions for today. Maybe loosening up our body, bouncing around, just finding a good mountain pose that feels solid and secure. And again, using our breath to ground us in the moment. And preparing for our practice. Bringing our hands to heart center to seal an intention for our practice today in our hearts. Maybe that intention is for healing, for love, for expansion, energy, vibrance, whatever feels good for us today. Inhaling our arms up overhead and exhaling our hands down to heart center, warming up, moving our legs, maybe pedaling our heels. And again, let's just do some flows with our breath, inhaling overhead and exhaling down. Moving through our legs to get that blood pumping and flowing. We're working really good today on our blood pressure equalizing to avoid any dizziness. Moving with breath, aligning with arms, moving into a slight chair pose, warming up through our legs. Inhale, lengthening, and exhaling to chair pose. We can bring our hands to our legs for support. Arms can come to the side. Really just looking at all the different options we have for our arms here as we work on our chair pose. We're bringing heat into our bodies. If we bring our arms overhead, it gives a little more challenge, and we work a little bit more on getting that blood pumping to our extremities if we're working on that as something that is a goal for our healing journey. And again, flowing through our chair. Inhaling, reaching tall, and exhaling back to chair. Just as much bend in the knees as feels good. And when we're ready, just focusing on our own pace, our own flow. Coming back to our mountain pose, and when we're ready, we'll step back into a modified lunge. Holding our strength here, stepping forward, and opposite leg steps back to our lunge. Now this lunge, we can stay up on our toes or open our feet out to a warrior with the back foot slightly rotated so the whole foot can rest on the ground, and we're opening through our hips a little. Our front knee stays bent, and we're walking our feet back and forth into this modified lunge. We can add some arm movement here. We can leave our hands at heart center, or we can open our arms down behind us with a gentle chest expansion. We might want to hold on to a wall, a chair, anything next to us if we feel dizzy at all through our practice. This practice is gauged towards anyone who's struggling with any health concerns, and so we want to always know that we can take modifications as they come. Offering even more options, reaching our arms out to cactus arms or up overhead, again, just depending on how we are regulating with our blood pressure and getting the blood pumping through our bodies. I'm showing every variation possible here. This is actually just a modification instead of sun salutations. You can take an option like this. It's called Flight of the Bird, and it's from the Yoga Fit school to offer different ways to get our blood pumping in yoga without all of the quick inversions of a sun salutation. So taking our time here, we inhale when we step back and expand through our chest and our heart center. Exhale forward. Inhale, opening up, and exhale, stepping forward. Let's go at our own pace here. It's really great if you have some of your own music going on in the background. You can put on a Spotify playlist, something that really gets you feeling nice and positive, and to move with our own rhythm, our own sensation, opening up our stance as wide or short as we want it to be. And here we're going to pause in our warrior one. So we step back to that nice warrior stance, but we hold it this time, and our arms go wherever they feel comfortable. Our heart and our hips are facing the short edge of our mat, and we're finding good position with our arms to find strength. This part of our practice, the warrior series, is really focused on building endurance and strength in our bodies. We can take that time to find a nice solid base of support through our feet. And we can even move our arms around through here. Now we'll come back to center, and then we'll just switch sides. Coming into warrior one on our other side. Finding a good base of support, as wide or short stance as we need to be. Bringing our arms wherever they feel comfortable today. And focusing on our gaze straight ahead or slightly up. Finding our focus point and our strength in these warrior poses. Remembering that we are warriors. We are showing up to our mat so that we can fight and be strong and courageous in our practice, in our life. Just showing up every single day and fighting through. Coming back to the front of our mat. Taking a nice deep inhale here and exhaling, modified forward fold. Our hands can come down, walking them down. Nice and gentle, bending our knees as much as we need to bring our fingers down to the mat. We're going to show a modification here too, so we can always take this with a chair, wall, rail, countertop, and we can do a forward fold with our arms out, supporting us. We don't want to bring our head below our heart if we're working on avoiding inversions, so whatever feels good. I just want to show all these modifications that you can do in energizing flow, even with blood pressure issues, fatigue, heart rate, anything like that we're working on. Coming back to our chair pose. Inhaling mountain. And we'll step back again to warrior one. And then opening up warrior two. So our hips and our arms open to the long edge of our mat. We keep the bend in our front leg. Back leg is open. Maybe playing with our arms, palms facing up and then down, or at our hips. And we're keeping the gaze over the front arm. We can even take a gentle chest expansion here with our arms behind us. So often during the day we are hunching forward with our shoulders. If we're on our phone or computers, it's a great opportunity to stretch. Whatever feels good for our warrior two. And just taking some time. When we're ready, stepping back to the front of our mat. Inhaling up, exhaling back to center, and we'll step back, opposite leg, coming into warrior one, finding our balance, and then opening up warrior two on opposite side. Again, hips and arms open to long edge of the mat, maybe a gentle chest expansion if it feels good. We can even roll through our neck. Again, arms wherever they feel good. Our focus point is over that bent leg in the front. And we're feeling strong here, keeping our belly button pulled into our spine, nice long torso, feeling our strength, building endurance without the stress and the strain on our body. Gentle yoga practice, stepping forward to the front of our mat, inhaling arms overhead and exhaling a modified forward fold, using our body as our perfect prop here so we can keep our heart elevated, keep our head above our heart. Or we can take a little bit lower if we feel like we want the gentle stretch of bringing our head down, and we can handle that. We can bend our knees to accommodate our bodies. And sometimes I like to go up and down here a little bit and just see what it feels like to pump through my legs. Slowly walking our hands back up so that we have nice support as we come back up to our mountain pose. Nice deep breath here, inhaling our arms up overhead, exhaling down to heart center. And slowly coming down, maybe rocking back and forth, using a chair, using our body as a prop, bending our knees, bringing our hands down, stepping back, right leg to a kneeling lunge. In our kneeling lunge, we can come anywhere we want. Our hands can stay on the ground, they can come to our leg for support or to heart center, even overhead, and then just lowering down, bringing that left leg back, and we'll come back to a child's pose. We might want to bring our knees closer or further away from each other. Our hands can come under our forehead or out in front of us long. Just enjoying our stretch. Inhaling, we're going to come forward to a kneeling plank. Exhale, just gently lowering down, working those triceps as we lower slowly. And then shine our heart forward into a cobra. Strengthening through our lower back. Maybe we can lift our hands off the ground to get that strength in our lower back, coming back down to our plank, to our child's pose. Taking a moment here, then coming forward again, kneeling plank, lowering down, shining our heart forward on our inhale. Maybe lifting those hands again, lower back strength, pushing back to kneeling, plank, back to child's pose. Taking a nice deep breath here in our child's pose, and again, a gentle flow. Whatever feels good, coming down to our downward dog if it feels accessible, or we could always stay in child's if it feels better. Maybe a full plank there, or down to a kneeling plank, up to an upward dog if it feels accessible to us. And again, downward dog or child's pose. Maybe pedaling our heels if we're in our downward dog, and just enjoying the sensation in our bodies here. Shifting forward to our plank or kneeling plank, lowering ourselves down, coming to an upward dog or modified upward dog, and shifting back to our child's pose. Nice deep breath in our child's pose. When we're ready, shifting forward, kneeling plank, lowering down, letting our heart shine forward, and coming back up through kneeling plank and into child's pose. Taking a deep breath again, coming forward, maybe coming into a downward dog if it feels accessible, and forward to a plank or kneeling plank, an upward dog or a cobra here, and again down to child's or downward facing dog, taking a moment with our breath, shifting forward to that plank, lowering down, and again we're just experimenting here with what feels good. We're seeing how our bodies like the feeling of the child's or downwards dog versus the upward dog or the half cobra. When we're ready, coming back again into child's pose, taking a moment to rest and restore. Deep breaths here, finding our peace and our balance. And on our next inhale, let's step our right foot forward. Coming into our kneeling lunge on the opposite side of when we came down, finding balance again, hands on the floor, knee, thigh, chair, wall, anywhere that feels good. And finding a good base of support with our breath, kneeling lunge. Hands come back down to frame the front foot. We'll step the back foot forward to meet the front, forward fold. And very slowly but surely coming back up with a flat back to standing mountain. Find our balance, reset for a moment here. Take our breaths, reground, inhaling up and exhaling, hands to heart center. Maybe smiling gently, knowing that we're supporting ourselves so well through this practice today. Taking a moment for chair and then resetting. Taking our breath, finding our intention. Let's come into some balancing standing poses. We'll come into a tree pose. Maybe in the beginning, just setting our right toes open to the side, balancing through our left foot, our left leg. Seeing how this feels. If we want, for a little more challenge, bringing that right foot to our ankle, calf, or thigh. We just want to avoid any direct pressure on the knee joint, so that foot goes above or below the knee joint. We find our balance here in tree. Deep breaths, imagining an invisible string from the crown of our head reaching us up. Maybe our hands come overhead or stay at heart center. Finding balance, strength, focus. Gaze stays in one spot to work on that drishti or focus point. We're really working here on finding where we feel good, where we feel safe, where our balance lies. And coming back down to center when we're ready. And we'll switch sides. Finding our strength and balance, and this time maybe opening up through our left leg, resting left toe on the ground to find that support and balance. And then we'll find where we feel good on this side. Each side may be different. The left foot can come to right ankle, calf, or thigh. We can use a wall or chair, as always, for support anytime we need it. Modifications, options, accessibility, that is the theme of all of our classes here. Our purpose is to move and grow in ways that help our body to heal. And so again, finding our breath, using our breath to balance and ground. Our foot is an anchor. We are pulling vibrance and vitality from the earth. And again, it's okay to wobble. You can be a tree in the wind or a tree that stands tall and strong and firm. Either way, we don't lose any resilience from wobbling or bending. If we bend, we don't break. We'll come back down now. And let's just take a moment. Here is a balance pose that we can use a modification with a wall, a chair, any countertop that we may have. So instead of a warrior 3 without using the support, let's hold on to something in front of us and bring our right leg out behind. Maybe one arm can come behind, really working on the balance, but we're using our arms to support us. We can even bring both arms out in front. So we're getting the exact same sensation and feeling of a warrior 3 pose, but without the fear of falling or getting dizzy. Finding that balance, finding that strength. The standing leg is really working hard and our core is pulling in up towards our spine to support us. And let's come back up, reset for a moment here, and then prepare for the other side. So when we're ready, shifting and hinging at the hip, the left leg goes back as our torso comes forward. And we can bring arms anywhere that feels accessible and available on this side. Again, our core is engaged, belly button pulling toward our spine, and we're finding a way here to find this beautiful warrior 3 balance in a way and an expression that feels beautiful and perfect for our bodies in our moment today. Using our breath, finding the strength in that standing leg. Core engaged again, such an important part of this pose. Just enjoying the fun of this pose. And when we're ready, coming back down. Coming back, standing, inhaling tall, exhale, hands to heart center to reset. We'll meet at the top of our mat. Inhaling up tall, exhaling heart center. Inhaling up tall, exhaling, gentle forward fold, bending our knees, bringing our hands down to the mat. We'll step one foot back and then the other on our hands and knees, and we'll come into a gentle cat-cow series. So on the exhale, rounding the spine, inhale, dropping the belly, opening our heart, looking upward. Exhale, rounding each vertebrae at a time, tucking belly to spine. Inhale, opening up through our heart center, dropping our bellies. Exhale, rounding, articulating. And maybe when we're ready, coming up to a kneeling position. Let's take a moment here to reset, find our perfect balance and center, and a gentle chest expansion. Maybe our hands come to our thighs or behind us, next to us on the floor, and opening our chest, a gentle variation on camel pose. Finding ways to find chest expansion and breath. And we'll counterbalance that, coming forward onto hands and knees, opening our knees wide, wide-legged child's pose. Such a great stretch for our hips and our spine. Arms come forward as we extend and lengthen with each inhale, expanding through our back, and with each exhale, sinking deeper into this beautiful, luscious pose. Taking a few deep breaths, really enjoying the restorative time here during our cool down, during the last half of our class with our beautiful stretching. When we're ready, shifting forward, and let's come into a seated position. We're going to bring our legs out in front of us, and I'm just going to show a couple different options here for some stretches. The back of our legs sitting nice and tall in staff pose. If we have any lower back pain, maybe putting a pillow under our hips or keeping our knees bent a little bit more than we may be used to. It just takes that pressure off our lower back. When we're ready, bringing our hands to our legs, maybe walking our hands forward, dropping our head, feeling a beautiful stretch through the backs of our legs. There's a couple options here. You could do the straighter legs and walk your hands down towards your feet. We want to try to keep a flat lower back. We don't want to round too much through our spine. It's okay if there's a little rounding towards the end of the stretch. Just being careful not to pull or torque our back into this stretch. And releasing back up, we're going to come into a gentle butterfly pose or cobbler's pose. The soles of our feet come together. We can hold on to our ankles or our shins. Inhale, lengthening tall, and on our exhale, our chest shines forward towards our feet. So again, we aren't torquing through our spine or rounding through our spine. We're really envisioning that stretch coming from our hips as we shine our heart forward down towards our feet. And we just enjoy maybe a little foot massage here. Sometimes I like to massage my toes in this pose. I know it sounds weird. There's acupressure points on our feet. We'll come back to a pigeon. So we can put our left leg in front and we can extend that right leg back in our pigeon pose. We have some options here that you could do this on your back, laying on your back and bringing your leg over in front like a figure four. I'm just showing the pigeon variation in the full expression here. You can even bring your head down in front of you in this pose. It's a really great hip opener and it releases a lot of areas of our body where we tend to hold on to stress and trauma. But again, if you want to be on your back instead and just be hugging that knee into your chest for a little bit less sensation, that's completely fine. And then when we're ready, coming out, we will shift sides. Right leg comes in front, flexing that foot to protect our knee joint. Hips are easing towards the floor. We can hold here, up on our arms, just listening to our body on either side. And again, we could be on our back here, figure four, or cradling our leg into our chest. If we want more sensation, coming down onto elbows or forehead, draped over that front leg. Deep, deep breaths here in our pigeon pose. This is such a great restorative pose here. We are opening up through our hips, bringing in new blood flow and energy through a part of our body that often feels very stagnant, very stuck, just because of our sedentary lifestyle, and especially with chronic illness, we don't get a lot of time or energy to move through our hips in deep ranges of motion. So when we're ready, coming out in whatever way feels good, we'll bring ourselves down maybe to a final gentle twist here. And so let's come onto our backs. We'll keep our knees bent. Excuse me, as I take off my hair tie and get the mosquitoes out of my face. It was such a great day to be outside, but I had a little bit of a mosquito attack. So we're going to come into the figure four. This is that variation I mentioned. Instead of the full pigeon expression, you could just do this pose. And so you're going to bring opposite knee, opposite ankle to meet with the knees bent on our back. And you can even just shift back and forth gently. And then we'll switch sides. So this is a really good variation. You're still getting a beautiful deep hip stretch, but with a little bit of a different way about it. So coming back just onto our backs here, and gentle windshield wipers, side to side motion with our hips. If this is a little too deep of a sensation, you could put a pillow on either side of your hips so that you aren't coming down quite as deep. And we're trying to keep our upper and mid back on the ground, and our lower back and hips are windshield wipering back and forth with our legs, getting this different sensation and openness within our hips and stretching our lower back. Beautiful. We'll do knees to chest, a nice hug, giving our body love and support and care, thanking our body for helping us with our practice today. Nice deep breath here. We're going to also offer a different option. We're going to end our class with legs up the wall. So we are going to scoot over close to a wall. We're going to bring our lower body as close to the wall as we can get. And then we're going to bring our legs up. So our legs can be on a wall, a couch, a chair, a countertop. Some people prefer their knees slightly bent. Some people prefer them out long. Now, legs up the wall is one of the top poses for fatigue. So this pose is amazing for POTS, chronic fatigue syndrome, any issues with blood pressure, because it is taking the work off of our heart and our legs of pumping all of that blood from the lower body up to our heart. We are switching this into a gentle way for all of that blood to come back to our heart in a passive way. And they equate this with a few minutes in this pose is the same as a 20-minute power nap because of all of that beautiful oxygenated blood helping our heart out, giving us a break. So take as long as you want here in this pose. I would actually suggest holding here with some music for 5 to 10 minutes. Thank you so much for the practice today. I'll give you some time here just to focus in on your body, whatever pose you've chosen, whether it's to stay in legs up the wall or come into a different pose. Let's just focus in on our breath, reconnecting with the intentions we set for ourselves for our practice. Just giving ourselves grace, peace, compassion, and love. Being so grateful for our bodies and how they've supported us today. Thanking yourself for showing up on your mat and showing up to this course consistently. You really have earned so much love and grace just by showing up for yourself on your healing journey. Taking a moment here, maybe listening to a favorite song or picking a quote that you want to meditate on and just enjoying how it feels to have completed a beautiful practice for yourself. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm so happy to be taking this healing journey with you, and I know that every single day your body, your limbic system, your mind, body, spirit are just thanking you so much for showing up and committing to heal. Namaste.